Meeting to order. Thank everyone for coming. Roll call, all members present except Reba, and she's on vacation. You all have a copy of the minutes from the last meeting. I hope you've had a chance to read them. Do I hear a motion that we approve them? Or do you need a chance to read them?
I'll make that motion.
Motion has been made by Kim. Do you hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? Any changes or alterations? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. All right, approval of financial report, purchase orders.
I don't have any purchase orders.
No purchase
They were all
orders.
approved for the last week.
You have a copy of the financial report. Do you have any questions or concerns about that? We do have a little money in the bank. Any questions about the financial report? Do I hear a motion that we approve?
I'll make that motion.
Kim made the motion to approve the financial report. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. So, okay. Open issues, public suggestion box. We put out there last, after the last meeting, a suggestion box on the table out there for anyone who has suggestions as to what to do. And these are those suggestions right there. Anybody wants to look at them? I think most of the board members have looked at them. If anybody wants to see them, they're certainly welcome to do so. We did have a
synopsis?
pardon?
Have you all done a synopsis or anything on it, or just?
No, it's just.
A lot of that was, I mean, you feel free to read it. It was about, we were confused, just where we got moving notes, or we were like, you know, there's a, it was out until yesterday. Actually, I left it out till this morning. Most of those came on that.
You either had people that said, don't tear the church down, or we need a new library, or we need more library facilities, or more books, or whatever.
Kind of one in there that the business served its purpose, and one different. It's just, you know, kind of generic.
If you want to take those and do a synopsis of them, that's fine.
No, sir, I just wondered if you already done that, if you could share it with us. Thanks.
It's just that's the type of thing you have. A lot of them, just put their name on them, that's all. Someone did that. I don't know what their purpose was.
I can make copies of them. We just opened them today.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that might be,
That's,
yeah,
that's.
that might be for this, you know,
I've been
leaving
seeing
you guys
it.
or whatever here to.
Because,
Okay.
we, like I said, it was out of the issue, so we just opened them.
All right, as you're well aware of, our project suspension, the 90-day period ends today. We held it over for someone to come up with solutions to our problems. Before we proceed with our discussions, I think it would be well to just give you an idea of where the majority of the board stands. I think we could just take a poll of the board members. This is an unofficial poll to let you know where we stand. We're just going to ask two questions. One, how many of you are in favor of trading off this property for some other property and leaving it as it is? Anybody in favor of doing that? How many are in favor of moving on with our project and putting our...
Excuse me, I would be in favor of trading the
Okay.
property off and leaving it as it is. leaving the building.
How many would not be in favor of trading this property off? Okay, and I think Reba would vote the same way, so, you know, that takes it off the table, I think, folks. And, you know, I want to say to the mayor, I know that you have a piece of property out there that's, many people would like to see the library put out there.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, we have no interest in that. I think you can see that now. And I think that it's important that, you know, we understand your dilemma out there. You got a piece of property that's costing you money. It's my understanding you still owe $200,000 on it or something like that.
$253,000.
$253,000 on it. This was not your doing, and it was not your administration's doing. However, the previous mayor and the board chose to purchase that property. And I'm afraid with no real plan on what to do with it. It's just the fact that it's up for sale, and they thought it was a good idea and a good investment, and they bought it, and there it sits. And I know you'd like to do something with it. I suggested you and the board would, or your council would be to lot it off and sell it, take your losses, and put it back on the tax rolls. We have too much property in this area that is off the tax rolls. And we're going to have more.
Well, we've already been in negotiation in planning with the amphitheater and the park there anyway. So, you know, as far as the city wanting to get rid of debt, you know, I'd love to get rid of debt, but we've got other uses for it if we want it. It was just an option that we gave you all if you wanted it. I mean, it wasn't to get rid of our debt.
We appreciate
so we
that.
can pay for the
Understand
debt.
that,
I was just trying to give an option. That's what I thought the meeting was all about, was just to give other options other than, you know, what you all wanted to do. And as far as the city's concerned, you know, that's our park, and we're going to develop it if it don't go forward with what you all want to do or what could have been done. But as far as we're concerned, you know, we'll move on with that, with our work for that. But it's mostly just to give you all an option and give the people that one maybe say the church may be an option to look at if they could come up with the money or whatever it was. It wasn't something the city wanted to cram down your throat or try to force you to do anything. But
Yeah, I can
you know.
verify that because some of the council members wanted to sell it at one of the meetings, 2 or 3 meetings ago, because I was there, and they voted not to.
Yeah.
So I can verify that.
We just thought it was a good location for the
Yeah.
Humber.
Well, it's a good location for anything in town, you know.
Exactly.
And it's
Well,
it's
you know,
But that's
accessible.
not really germane here. What the concern is, what about the church,
the church is not there. The building, okay. You know,
the building?
yeah.
What is your intentions to what will happen to that building? Any plan that involves the destruction of that church is fatally flawed. And
Ronnie, before I give my dissenting opinion, if you want to finish, and then whatever, because I'll point out some things then when you get through. Before we get into the actual.
Go ahead.
Well, okay. First of all,
Let me, if I may just hand in the packet that I handed to Franklin yesterday, they can be digesting some of that
Okay.
with the 400 member petition that was signed. I'll just give that to you. Then if you all can digest that, and that may save some time while if you all want to look for it.
one of course, the most troubling aspect to me is the loss of that historic structure that's 86 years old and has been part of the fabric of this community. I think it's the most iconic building it's that we have left in the city of Sayersville. We talked about location, and I don't think that a lot of people are aware of how small that where the church is now, and the footprint after you put this new building on there, how limited parking and availability will be. It just occurred to me last night. I was thinking, well, what if you want to bring a school bus load of kids from the school to see a Chautauqua performance or something, anything in a library function? And there's nowhere. This lot out here is about 3 times bigger that's been mentioned, and there would be room for parking and buses and things. Let me back up just a little bit. I've been part of this. I was on this library board before, and then I sat out for I don't know how long, 3 years or something when my term was up, and then I was just recently reappointed. But I've always wanted a new state-of-the-art public Magoffin County library. I think that we need it, and we need it desperately. But I don't think that it needs to come at the expense of a building that means so much to the community. Like was stated there earlier, I have a petition here with 400 signatures, and it's growing every day. And another concern of mine is how the destruction of a historic structure like that's eligible to be on the National Register of Historic Places how that might jeopardize federal assistance. I think everyone realizes that coal severance money is virtually gone, and the state is burdened with their retirement system and their problems. And to float a bond issue of this magnitude and what we're talking about doing will place an unnecessary burden on this public that's already, quite frankly, overburdened with the new high school and the new everything, and the resources are just limited. We need to look at creative ways in financing and working, and I think this thing needed to have been brought out to the community to try to solve this problem as a community much earlier than what it was. And it just seems like that it's just kind of been sailing along, but there's so many people that are unaware of what's really happening with it. And I talked about how I've always wanted a library. I also picture a library. My vision has always been a library that serves the entire community with a variety of programs and services. To work a project of the magnitude that's proposed here, it's going to take away from the availability of personnel and being able to engage in other programs. I think it needs to be scaled back a little bit. And I think we need to think about staffing and programs, maybe a satellite project in South Magoffin, something to help them with online availability. There's just so many things. I think about senior citizens that are unfamiliar with computers and how there needs to be something like that. There's a lot of things. And I have a problem with a two-story building in that it takes away from staff. You have to have more staff for it. It doesn't seem like it would be cost effective. There's not enough parking. The lot is not suitable. Why can't we have our cake and eat it too and leave this historic building alone and build a new state-of-the-art library that will serve the community? And I just can't see why we can't do both. The Kentucky Heritage Council, they recommend that we save this building, and I'm sure I'm going to hush because I'm going to give other people a chance to talk, but I'm just so passionate about this. I can't see why that we can't, as a community, solve this.
I have one question. You were on the board when they purchased the library, and you didn't have a problem, or purchased the church building to use as a library, and you didn't have a problem with it being a two-story building then.
You know, I've had a problem with the way this whole thing came about. The coal severance money and the mixing of church and state has always been. But I thought, well, perhaps we can save this building and have us a new library. The original intent was for the purchase of a church for renovation into a library, and that's what I thought we were going to do. I had no idea that we were going to destroy the church. We'd have been better off to have bought a lot.
Probably would have been a good idea if you'd started getting it on the historical register several years ago, and then we wouldn't even be having this discussion.
I can only do so much. But
But
it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant whether it's on the historic register or eligible for being on the historic register from a federal funding standpoint.
Well, I've worked here since '08, and I can't speak for all libraries, but we've never received any federal funding, none whatsoever. I called Craig Potts. He said that he constructed this letter after he was contacted that morning. He said this does not say that we won't get. It says it might.
Yeah, it might. Yeah.
So we need to keep that clear.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you're correct.
Well, it might be a mistake to destroy the library, so I urge us to step back from that decision before we do anything rash. There's whether or not it can be repurposed or whatever, the destruction of the building itself. To take away all the church memories that many of the people in here have gone through. The destruction of the building is unconscionable, folks. There's no excuse for that. There's nothing you're going to be able to put there that's going to replace that. We don't want our downtown looking like that. It's historic. It gives us identity, and to tear it down for some soulless structure makes no sense. Folks, reconsider. There's another way out. Find it. It's not a time to talk about votes in the past. This is the vote for the future. And I hope we all will see the church or the steeple presiding over our town in the future.
Now, yesterday, I called Ronnie and I'll let you know. My wife and I went to Frankfurt yesterday and met with the Department of Local Government to see what their opinion was regarding the coal severance and the fact that they had allowed you folks to go ahead. Not allowed you, but supported the fact that you were going to tear the church down because you didn't have any other options. So I took with them some of the hardware and some of the mapping and showed them the relative sizes of two projects, showed them everything that's in that packet that I gave you. And the main message that they let me leave with was to let you know, and as they probably told you all yesterday, if you decide to change and go with that lot over there, that won't affect any of your funding in any way as relative to the 07. You're not locked into anything that before it was pictured that you were locked in. You're not. You're free to go over there, and you have the support. And their opinion is that is the best solution to the problem. That's what local government's opinion was.
Well, I talked to Amy Barnes from DLG yesterday. She called me. I didn't call her. She said that someone had been down there to visit. She had me on a conference call with another gentleman there in the office, and she said that she wanted to make clear to the library board that they are neutral in this, that they are not an agency to say that you can move here, move there. It is entirely up to the library board, but they are neutral and they will help us with their coal severance. They are not there to take it away.
Well,
so, she said, we can't tell you to go move across the street to tear it down to stay where you're at. We are neutral in this.
I hope that's what I said earlier. What she did say was they would help you if that's what you want to do, and
if that's what we want
and their
to do.
opinion was that was the best solution to the problem at hand.
She said they did not have a solution. That is not their job. They are not an agency to make any decisions like that.
I was at the meeting with 3 of them, and they said that was their opinion. Now, I also went to the Heritage Council, and before I got home, Mr. Dugood sent me a letter. I'm going to give this in that packet there, explaining their opinion on the demolition of the church and what a catastrophe it will be to the community if it's done. And she also adopted the idea of switching properties. So you got folks down in Frankfurt that are willing to put in and help you in every way. You got community folks here. This gentleman here just said he'll put in $1,000 to my $1,000. There's folks that will help, and we'll jump in behind this if you just don't tear the church down. It seems like you got all kinds of folks wanting to help. We're not trying to be here to be contrary with you, but in regards to tearing the church down, we are a bit contrary, and so are the 400 people that signed that petition that I gave you. That's in the last 4 days. We have over 400 people signed the petition.
And Doug, you know what I think about a petition? I could get a petition up to declare today Wednesday, and I could get 400 signatures from that.
Would you buy them? Is that how it's done around here?
That's and it's easy to do that. That's not a problem. Now, I think we have a solution for the problem.
If you would, I'd urge you to at least look at some of the names on the petition. I don't think those are the kind of people that are just throwing their signatures around carelessly.
I understand that. We have a solution. We're willing to sell the property. I think the board is willing to sell the property, and then we'll do whatever we can after that. We'll make cross that bridge when we get to it. In order to do so, we have to recoup. We didn't recuperate, I guess. What we have invested in the property.
But Ronnie, if you're going to tear it down, you're not going to recoup it.
Well, I know that, but at least we'll be able to build what we want to build there. What we want to build there.
You have $500,000.
We want to let you fellas have the opportunity to buy the building and do whatever you want to with it. Because I'm convinced that the building will continue to fall down. There's no money available anywhere, I don't think, to restore the building to what it needs to be accessible to the public.
For some of you that may not know, you've just come in on this, and you think that the board, it's not me, I don't have a vote in it, but that we have come at this of just tearing this building down. That's not where we came about this. The whole purpose was to renovate. That's what I was saying. No one had a problem with it being two-story. And actually, the lower level is meeting rooms and restrooms. You come in and come up, so no one's going to be, it's unfinished space. So we fall within the guidelines of the square footage of what we need with potential growth, with the road coming through, so we're hoping the population will increase. But we're in guidelines with all of that. But, you know, we went in with renovating this building with you, and the building was gonna remain the same. Only thing that's gonna be in there was basically our circulation and a few public computers and maybe genealogy. But it won't hold these food stacks. So we came up with a plan, but after we surveyed and everything, we found out that the sewer line runs through the property. You can't build over it. So we had to go back to a smaller plan. Well, with that being said, you have the old existing building here that's unusable space with an additional 4,000 square feet to use as your new library, which is less than what I have here. So that's when we said, okay, we can't do that. We're wasting taxpayers' money renovating this if we can't use it for the library, because we have to keep our focus on the library. Not on that building, but on the library. So with that being said, we asked our architect, so what can we do now? So, well, you can build on this entire footprint, but it means bringing the building down and having a new design. So that's how we arrived at this point. It's not that we went in and said, oh, wow, let's take the building and tear it down, like, you know.
No,
And everybody seems to know the needs of the library.
in my opinion,
none of you all-
I don't think the building should have been bought to start with for a library.
But that's water under the bridge.
It is.
And you can talk to
It
the
is.
board members that was on. I mean, that's water under, Bear was on there, and like I'm saying, that building means so much. It was for sale. Long before it came about, the library getting it. Why didn't someone buy it? Why wasn't it put on the historical register? It was for sale. No one had interest in it. Because everybody knew what was best for the library, and oh, let's put the library in there.
Well,
So
as
that's
I
how we
understand it,
came
you've had the building 7 years. All the public understands and understood and still understands, because the original concept is posted on post out in front of the building today, saying that you're still doing it the way you did it before. Thousands of people in the community still think you're doing it the way you did it before. They've not been notified of all this.
Well, all of my library patrons and everyone that comes in here, they know.
Well, that may
The
be
church
1,000, maybe
members
that's
know.
1,000 people, but that's not
Well,
14,000 people.
Well, I mean, you came in with your 400 signatures, I could have left paper up here and had 1,000. You know, that's not how I'm playing. I'm just saying from a citizen's point of view, and someone that works here and cares about the library. I know the library needs. So when someone walks through the door and tells me how many parking places we need, you have no idea. No idea. Most people that come here to protest this, you all don't even have a library card. You don't even utilize the library. So don't come telling me the needs of the library. I would love to see the building preserved, and I'd love to have a new library. But don't make the library look bad in saying that we haven't tried to save the
No, we
building.
work very hard at
Let
it.
me ask you about trying, what about this water, the sewer thing? What was the
Well, at the
result
forum,
of
we
that?
discussed that. I think Rusty said he's gonna make a call to New York and get some money in
Well-
here. Someone else said they're gonna talk to the city and the county about moving the sewer. I did what I was told to do. I called the water plant. They said, no, we can't do that.
Well, and there's been years worth of public meetings held to plan this facility. So this has not been kept out from the press.
We meet
out
every
from the
month
public.
at a regular time, and everybody's
Absolutely, and
invited
these
to
meetings are
attend.
wide open, and it's been discussed for years, not just months, years. Public forum of planning this project, and like Melanie said, the intent was to renovate, and it involved quite a bit of gut wrenching when the decision had to be made to get away from renovating that.
The most exclamatory thing you've done so far is decide to tear it down, and you didn't tell the public a thing about it. All those meetings you're
that is
claiming that
false.
they weren't.
What you just said is false.
No, it's not false.
Yes, it is false. It was said in months and months and months worth of public meetings.
Meetings are open to the public.
Well,
Everybody shows up and tells
I'm
us
sorry,
something.
I've seen some of your minutes of your meetings, and I didn't detect that in any of them.
We have a public meeting, and it's just like I said the other day. Our meeting, if we have a special call meeting, it's posted 24 hours in advance. We very seldom have a special call meeting. It's a public meeting. Betty Williams writes a column in the paper. Probably every other week, it's in there, the date of our meeting. If I'm concerned, like I've said this over and over, if I want to know what's going on at the extension office, I don't wait for them to call me. I go to them. If you're concerned about why this library building is sitting up here and nothing's been done, come to the library. No one comes to the library. And I wonder if we'd be having this meeting if the Baptist church still owned it and they were tearing it down. Would anybody say anything? No, because you know why? It's the church and it was the members, and it would be their decision. Nobody would be here having this meeting if the Baptists tore it down.
Well, it's their money involved and not our money involved. See, that's tax money that will tear the building down, will build a new building. And listen, Magoffin County is losing population.
But are we here
We're
about
not
tax
gaining
money, or are we
population.
here about?
Well, I'm here for tax money for
So
one
that's why
thing.
you're here. That's why I want to know. Are you here to save that little church building, or are you here
Yes,
because you're concerned
yes.
about the library, or are you here about tax money?
Well,
You said you're here about tax money.
It's all wrapped up.
let me
in
ask you
that.
something. Could you, if you were a senior citizen and your income was $1,400 a month, could you afford most of the taxes that this county and this city has? Now let's think about these people, because they have to pay taxes just like we do.
We haven't raised our taxes.
You didn't raise it the
No,
last time?
no. We
We've
was said
taken
the
a
last meeting.
compensating rate.
The
for
rate
a
has
long
not
time.
been raised here in 3
But you
years.
will have to.
No, we won't.
Okay, well, great.
And
So
we've
I'm-
been working all these
passed
years
that last meeting.
during this planning process to save money to offset the cost of the building. We've been diligent about that.
Well, I can understand it's gonna cost $50,000 to tear the building
Oh,
down.
that's-
How do you know that?
No.
The bids
That's-
haven't been out.
Well, that's what we've been told.
That's what you've been told, but no one's come to the library to get any information. It's what you've been told by people outside the library.
Well, they already have 450 in there.
Now,
Well,
here's our proposal,
Okay.
folks. will be willing to make a motion to offer for sale the property of a former First Baptist Church to those who want to preserve the structure for the sum of, where's my figures at that I have there? All right. The $450,000 that we paid for it, plus we spent, what did I do with that? Oh, okay. We spent $3,637 for a site survey, which you have to have done for anything. We spent $3,495 for a geotechnical exploration, core drilling. We spent $1,265 for an asbestos survey. $2,100 to have the asbestos removed from it. So that's a total of $10,579, or $97, I'm sorry. So that brings the total price to $460,000, 597 cents, or $460,597. Now, we would be willing to take that to any organization, whatever, if, I want you to understand, if we can legally sell it like this. I don't know whether you'd have to put it up for public auction or not, but I think if we did put it up for public auction, our minimum price would have to be that to recoup our money. And we would require 10% down within 30 days from today's date. If you all decide you want to purchase it. I want to say first of all, it'd be in a certified check or a cashier's check, and this 10% deposit would be non-refundable unless it came about somewhere that we couldn't sell the property. The balance need to be paid at the next regular meeting, which will be in October, I guess. That's you've got 30 days to come up with the 10%, and the following 30 days come up with the rest of it. And the deed, of course, would hopefully be delivered at that second and final payment. And I would have proposed that we would have a document signed. And lawyers tell me that if we write one out in longhand and get 2 witnesses, it's just as good as gold in a court of law. So we will do that right here today. And that would be, I don't know how we would title who we would sell it to, concerned citizens for preserving the old building or whatever. Now, also in my motion, I will go ahead with the proposal, or not the proposal, but the authorization for our construction company, or construction management company, and the architects to proceed with the bid process for demolition of the building.